All right, so I have been trying to make this video for a year and a half, and I made it before, and I used my iPhone, and the gimbal kept on messing up, and the audio was terrible, so I'm gonna go ahead and try this one more time. So the purpose of this video is to go over all of the items that are in your go bags. This bag right here. They all look the same. You each have one. And I want to go through these items just so you know what they look like. Just be familiar with what their purpose is for. You don't have to know how to use them right now. That's not important. There will be a video to follow this that will show you how to use some of the things that aren't so obvious how to use. And then I'm going to do another video where I'm going to take the bag out in the real world and make sure that this bag is capable of meeting all of our physiological needs so that we can survive. So before we get started though on the bags, what's in this bag really centered around the rule of threes for survival. And the rule of threes for survival are you can go 3 minutes without oxygen. You can go 3 hours in harsh conditions without shelter. You can go 3 days without water and 3 weeks without food. So this bag is built around making sure those physiological needs are met so that we can survive. Not necessarily be comfortable, but we will survive. That's the goal. If you're grabbing this bag, the goal is to live. So I think that the best way to do this is, while oxygen is the first on the list in 3 minutes, we have 3 minutes without oxygen. That's in the first aid kit, and I think I'll skip that for now, and we'll shoot straight over to the shelter. So when looking at shelter, there are several items that you have to cover in order to have a proper shelter, and that would be: 1, you need something to sleep under. 2, you need something to sleep in. And 3, you need something to sleep on. And so in Florida, where we are, the shelter system that is in this bag is probably very different than what someone maybe that maybe is from up north has. The purpose of shelter is to stay out of the weather and to regulate core temperature. For us, there's very few days in Florida that we have to worry about our core temperature due to cold weather. However, in Florida, we do have a lot of rain. So very important then, again, something to sleep under, something to sleep in, and something to sleep on. So we'll go ahead and go over the shelter system. So your bag has a zipper that's called a tri-zip, and it'll allow you to really get into everything in the bag that you need. So now for the shelter system, we have something to sleep in, on, and under. Give me 1 second here. All right. Okay, so for shelter, we have something to sleep under, which I've chosen this poncho. This is a USGI poncho. This has multiple uses, which is why I chose it. I chose it because, let's say you're during the day, you're out running around and it's raining, you can wear this like a poncho, right? Keep all the gear in your book bag dry. But then at night, you can actually fashion this into a tent. So this has multiple uses, but this is what I'm looking at as far as something to sleep under. And there's cordage and some things that go along with this. And again, I'll show you how to use that another time, but for now, just being familiar with the kit. So that's something to sleep under. Now something to sleep in. We have this, and I know you guys know what this is because I keep them around the house. This is a Wooby. It's technically a poncho liner that's used in the military. So using this to sleep in, you wrap yourself up like a blanket, and this thing does a very good job of keeping you warm. So something to sleep under, something to sleep in, and then for something to sleep on, I have this bivy. And a bivy is sort of like it's like a mummy sack. And you can use it for a couple things. The bivy is good for wrapping yourself up after you've put yourself in the poncho liner, just for an extra layer of warmth. Or if it is really one of those cold nights here for us in Florida, then you can fill this bivy with brush and leaves to keep yourself off the ground. Your issue at night in the cold is conducting the cold from the ground to your body. So we always think about covering ourselves on the top with a blanket, but really your issue is taking the temperature from the ground and conducting it to your body. So again, you can use that to either cover yourself up like a mummy, or you can use that to fill and keep yourself off the ground. On top of that, you're going to have all of the cordage, and I'll go over that at another time. I don't want you to get caught up on that right now. I just want you to understand that when you see these items, you know that this is your shelter system. All right, next. So the next most important thing is water, obviously. You can go 3 days without water. Now, keep in mind that these are just general rules here. So if you're using this bag and you're running around trying to get from one place to another, you're going to be using up, you're going to sweat, you'll be using up energy. So you sort of want to start looking for water before your cognition and everything starts to decline. In other words, you don't want to get to day 3 and say, okay, I have 3 days. You want to go ahead and find the water pretty fast. And what I have in this kit for water is there's a couple things. I've got some redundant water purification, but the main item that we have is this. So this is a Grail water filter. Very, very simple to operate, assuming that you have a water source. Basically, this is a filter, and all you do is fill it up. It's got an inner cup here. You're going to fill up the cup here. You're going to take your filter. You're going to vent this. Open the cap, meaning just open the cap a little. And then you're going to just push. And I know you can't see this very well. I'll do some B-roll and put it in there. But when you're done with that, all the water that's inside here is purified. And I have tested this. I've used this to grab water out of the retention pond in the backyard of the house, and I've drank it, and it's perfect. Now, this is a great piece of kit, but it's a filter. So what are the issues with the filter? Well, the issue with the filter is it can get clogged. So inside this Grail water filter, I also have some additional means of purifying water, as well as I have this handkerchief. So what I would do with the handkerchief is I would pre-filter the water, put the handkerchief over the cup, scoop the water up in that way. So that way all the really thick stuff that might be in the water source that you have won't get jammed in the filter. But in the event that this doesn't work, we still have 2 other methods of water purification. One is your Grail has this little titanium cup, and of course we have means to make a fire. Now that may or may not be something that you want to do depending on whether or not you want to be seen. but there is that option. And fire also obviously goes along with your core temperature control. So if you're in a situation where you're out and we're all trying to survive, we're all kind of just camping out, there's really no threat of hostility, and you can be seen, then a fire is easy. You have a ferro rod I have included in this. This is a very robust ferro rod, and I'll show you how to use that. And when we get into the tool section, I'll show you what tool to use for that. So you have that ability. Also within this package, you will have some water purification tablets, and it's pretty easy. You have 2 tablets, and you have tablets in sets of 2s that I put in there, and so it'll be 2 for every cup of water here, and then you should be good to go. So that's the water system, and again, that's probably something that you want to start trying to procure early on in the situation. Another thing to keep in mind too is that just because you grab this bag doesn't mean that it's the end of the world, right? It doesn't mean that civilization is over. This could be something local that happens in our neighborhood, or even in our state. If we had to grab the bags because we were in an evacuation zone during a hurricane, all this stuff would still apply in a shelter. Maybe not to the extent that we were using it for, but still a great bag of resources to have no matter what the situation. So my point is, this doesn't have to be because the zombies have taken over. All right, so next is, I think I'm gonna go over the food situation, or let's just say the calories that I've included in this bag. And earlier you heard me say that you can go 3 weeks without food, and that is true. But there's really no reason when you're looking at movement by any person burning calories to not have some sort of calories to keep you moving. Remember that the goal is for us to get from one place to another as swiftly as we can, or if we're in a situation where we are in a shelter, they'll likely have some sort of nutritional items to offer. But in the event that they don't, I've chosen the SOS rations. I've had them before. They taste great, actually. It's not like they taste okay. These actually taste great. And I picked these because you don't have to have a fire for this. And again, I'll go into the situation where, let's say we're out and we really don't want to be seen. Then all you got to do is open these guys up. They're broken up into bars, I think 1,200 calories each. So this should be 1,200 calories a day for 3 days. All right, so now let's look at tools. You always got to have tools. This may or may not apply to every situation. Once again, like we talked about, this may not be stuff that you would need in a shelter environment, but in the event that we had to run out into the woods or leave my truck because it won't start, or it won't get us to where we're going and we have to walk on down the road, then you would need some form of tools to get wood for fire, do various other tasks. So you have a big fixed blade knife here. This is called a Mora Garberg. This is a knife that's very hard to destroy. You can use this a lot for wood. You can use this for carving if you need to. And the spine of this guy is 90 degrees. So this is a great tool to use for your ferro rod. Next, if you have 2 of something, you have 1, and you have 1, you have none. So in the principles of that, we have a multi-tool here. So there's only a few things really that you would need from a multi-tool. One would be a backup knife, and this one has an excellent backup knife that locks in place. The other thing you would need in the event that we were out and trying to survive is, and I'm trying to get it out right now. My fingernails are not great. Second thing you would want is a wood saw. And this one has a very good wood saw. Victorinox is very much known for their wood saws. And then the other thing that you could possibly use while we're out running around would be an awl. And you can use that to awl holes in wood. The other thing you might use this awl for is to repair gear. You can put some cordage through needle sewing eye here and punch it through material and use that to make repairs to gear if you need. So that's your tools. All right, now talking about first aid, we talked about 3 minutes without oxygen. There are a few things in here that address oxygen. Hopefully it's not something you'll ever have to use, but this contains things needed to stop any situation where you have a massive bleed, any penetrating wounds in the lungs. So we have chest seals for any penetrating wounds that way. Any damage to your upper airway that causes obstruction, we have what's called a nasopharyngeal airway, and that's used to secure an airway in the event that you can't. This one has some Israeli bandages for pressure and a couple things. Don't get too caught up in what each one of these things is. We'll go over all that. Just know that you have it. And ultimately, you know, someone may run across you that does know how to use this. So it's not always that we have this stuff so that we are complete experts at what's in there. This also could be used by someone that does have training to help with the situation. So. All right, so for lighting, so again, fire may not be appropriate in a situation. So I have you guys set up with a headlamp. This is, I don't remember the brand, but I bought this because it has a red light, which is obviously less visible. It also runs on multiple types of batteries. So this guy has these little CR123A batteries that I use in my weapon lights, but this one also takes a AA. And so no matter what's going on in the world, there are plenty of AA batteries available. So multiple uses, multiple fuel source, if you want to call it that, for a headlamp. And hands-free, I think, is really the best way to deal with something when you're walking through the dark in the woods. All right, so that is the bulk of the gear that is in your go bag. I know that doesn't sound like enough to make you comfortable. And again, like I said, it isn't. This is not for comfort. This is survival. So we'll get the next video together. We'll get that ready. Show you how to tie up the tent, how to use the cordage and what knots to tie, how to use the water filter appropriately, how to use the ferro rod to start a fire with what we have here in the kit. And then we'll go ahead and take the bag out into to the real world situation, and we'll see what we have. So take this video, watch it a couple times. I know it's probably not the most interesting content, but you watch it a few times and you'll get to know what's in the bag pretty quick. All right, we'll see you soon.